sometimes if you have prayed about it, just let it go. Detach yourself. Detach yourself from it. And I'm learning so much from this, because I think, you know, we're human. We get to a space where we've prayed about it, but we're still worried, we still want more, and we're still concerned if we're going to get it and all of that. But I guess this is a sign to say, if you detach yourself and if you trust more, and if you remember the promises that God has promised you, and understand that He said, I can do all things, right?
Exactly. And just to come in there, Nthabi, it's really something that took me very long to learn. I say very long because it took me going through a divorce, or sort of losing a marriage, if you want to call it losing. For me to learn, I had to go through those things in order to learn to detach myself from things. So it's not an overnight thing, but that's the beauty about the experience. Detachment is really letting go of control. You know, it's okay to want things to happen. I mean, it's okay to say, this is what I want, to make clear what you want, but then you have to let go of the control.
You're taking me back to the conversation, I mean, the channel, someone's channel, what's his name? I forgot. So he does affirmations. I remember the name and I touch it. Less is more.
Less is more.
So the more you let go, the more you allow to.
The more you let go, the more you let in.
Let in.
Yeah. The more you let go, you let in. And in Christian terms, we call it surrender.
Sure.
That's when we raise up our hands and we say, God, I surrender to you. I surrender everything to you. And that's why I love Jesus. And if you follow the story of Jesus, most of the time when he prayed, he would say, God, this is what I want, this is what I want. But then he would end the prayer by saying, nevertheless, let your will be done.
Amen.
Nevertheless, let your will be done. And that's him now detaching himself from the result. He first clarified his wants and his desires, but he ends it with detachment and surrender.
True.
And that is the key.
Now, earlier you mentioned something. You've went through a divorce. Not one marriage, but two.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here and thinking, how on earth? How does she deal with this? I know her strength. I know how powerful she is in prayer. And at the same time, I wonder, what is that one thing that kept you centered throughout this journey? Because this is a journey. And she has a beautiful daughter, by the way, by the name of Joy. We're not going to talk about Joy, but I just had to. She's an amazing daughter. I believe that in every situation, there's always something great that comes out of it. But what kept you centered and throughout your journey? You got married when you were young.
21.
Do you mind sharing that with us?
You know, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start because all things really work together for our good.
Amen.
Yes, I got married at the age of 21. By the age of 25, 26, I was divorced. At the age of 29, I got remarried, and at the age of 33, I was divorced again. Or rather separated. I only got divorced earlier on this year, and now I'm 34. So really, Nthabi just said that I'm strong and I'm powerful, but it's really not me. It's really not me, girl. It's something bigger than me.
True.
It's something greater than me. And like I said in the first part where I said, after I lost my family members and I had that traumatic experience, it led me to asking questions. And I didn't know who I was asking the questions to. And I said, who am I and why am I here, and why me, and who are you, and am I talking alone, or is there someone, and where did they go, and so I learned to trust and to stay connected to something greater than who I am, and that has kept me. I think if it was not, for the lack of a better word, I will call that is bigger than me God, for the lack of a better word, because it's greater than that. I'll call it God. So God has been my strength.
Yes.
God has been, I love the scripture that says, in God we move. In God, what does it say?
In God we trust.
In God we trust, we move, and we have our being. In Him we move and we have our being. So if it wasn't for leaning into something greater, so broken as I was, I would come vulnerable. I would become vulnerable into the present. I love what I overheard somebody saying on the radio the other time. Ari, to be present in the moment is to be in the presence of God. So I became present to the moment to say, wow, what time is it? Feel myself breathing, because most of the time, Nthabi, we are either in the past or we are in the future, and that's what depresses us. We are either depressed about what happened in the past, of things we cannot change, or we are worried about what is to come.
Yes.
And realize something, we don't have control over these two things. What we have is the present moment.
Fully present.
Fully present. And when you are in the present moment, you are in the presence of God.
Yes.
That is where your power resides. And I believe it was me tapping into the present moment and realizing that life is bigger than the situations. When I tapped into the present moment, all of a sudden, those things were not issues anymore.
Sure.
All of a sudden, it was nothing. It was nothing but someone else's opinion.
I love what you're saying about someone else's opinion, because someone would come to you and say, but being divorced it's not a good thing. Why were you divorced? Not the first, not the second. And the society looks at you as, it's as a failure, or there's something wrong with you and all of that. Something wrong with you. And the question that I have is, when you allow God to take over, have you ever had a moment, because I think this can speak to someone who relies so much in what the society have to say, who believes so much in what others have to say, or someone who is somehow holding on to, or not being trapped in the world and not allowing God to just take charge and not being okay with not being okay. Because I believe that when you go through something, it's a phase, right? And when you go through something, you need to allow that higher power to just take over. Detach yourself.
Come on, girl.
No.
Hey.
You have to detach yourself.
Surrender.
So now, someone who's out there, and I believe that there's a lot, I mean, we have conversations, we see it everywhere. There's someone who is holding on, who's afraid, who feels like they have wronged the world, and who believes so much in what the society have to say, just because you were divorced 10 times and as if there's something wrong with you. What can you say about that?
So I was listening to some guru the other time, because I listen to a lot of these spiritual gurus on YouTube, and that's what has helped me a lot. And one of the things that some guru said is that you are not depressed because of what is happening in your life. You are depressed because of the meaning that you give to things.
Come on now.
So, I looked at my situation and I said, okay, I broke up with this person. So what? How many relationships end each and every day? But the problem with us is that we give unhealthy meanings to things.
Sure.
And that is what depresses us. If you take the meaning out of the situation, you will realize that it's nothing. If you have failed a grade, like you have failed matric, it is the meaning that you give matric that is depressing you. Now you think, oh my God, what? That's why we find so many people then committing suicide after, say, the end of a relationship, or when one spouse says, I want a divorce, and then someone goes and shoots themselves because they put too much meaning. You know, but if you take the meaning out, because the meaning that you give, that's what makes it unhealthy.
Sure.
And it's a meaning, sometimes it's a meaning that society has given it. So if you look at the situation and you take the meanings out, you would find that you start feeling better about it. So I decided, like, for example, I was saying I was going through a divorce, and what helped me is when I looked at it and I removed the meaning out of it. You know, I looked at it as an experience.
Yes.
I looked at it as something that I lived. I looked at it like there are so many people on earth who get with people and they break up. It's just another end of a relationship or end of a romantic relationship. Why should I put too many meanings on it just because we had signed a paper, or you know, we had a few witnesses? And as well, detaching yourself from the judgment of people. I think when you go through certain things, what depresses us again is what will people think. You know, you are so depressed that you have not yet graduated, and mainly because, not because you really want to graduate, but because of what will people think. You know, you are in an unhealthy marriage where you are being abused or whatever. You can't leave because then what will people think? They will look at you like a failure. You know, so you are depressed that you cannot conceive, not because you really want children, but there's this pressure from society that no, at your age you should be having children, and that meaning causes depression. So if we lose the meaning and we open up our hearts to experience life as it comes, and we don't have fixed pictures of what life should look like, you know, but we take on life as it comes, and every situation that comes in our lives, we ask ourselves, how does this situation serve my life? What is trying to unfold in my life, and where is this leading me? Because we said that all things work together for the good of those that love God. Yes. For the good of all. It really means that there isn't any bad situation. But I will say, good or bad, everything that happens in your life is there to promote you. It's not there to work against you. It's not happening to you, but it's happening for you. So I looked at that situation that I was in, and it took me back to my childhood, because when I confronted it and said, what is this trying to teach you? Or where is this trying to lead me to? Or what is this trying to open up? I looked at it, you know, I then looked at it in a more healthier way of becoming better. And it took me, and I had to ask myself, why did I have to go through those two divorces? Then it took me back to my childhood, and then I had to face some of the traumas and the pain that I never addressed and never faced on, to say, maybe I was looking for a place of belonging because I never had a sense of belonging. I was too desperate to have a family. Or maybe I always expected that things can never be so great for me. You know, there was a death of a family when I was 5, and then there was another death of sort of a family again for me at the age of 10 when I lost my uncle, because he was like my structure and my pillar of strength. And then At the age of 21, I got married, and at 25 again, I went through a divorce, and that was again another death of a family, you know. And somehow I've been listening to these spiritual gurus, and they've been talking about, you know, shadows that we carry. You are not conscious to that those shadows, you're unaware, but there's deep things within you, deep energies within you that come from your childhood, and they keep on creating, because we are creators and we are creation. So those things then they bring forth certain things. So I had to take those shadows and expose them, and I still am, by the way. I'm not there yet. I'm a work in progress, and it's okay. I'm not perfect. So I am now attending to those shadows inside of me and exposing them to light, exposing them to love. You know, one of the things that got exposed is my yearning to be loved and to be affirmed of my worth, because I felt unworthy. I often felt like people were doing me a favor because I was adopted, and you know, when we take you to school, when we love on you, you should be grateful because you don't deserve it. You a favor, you know, you're an orphan. And they never said those things. It's just something that was inside of me. And now that carried on to my adulthood, where I was in relationships and I was in marriages, and I felt like subconsciously, by the way, still felt like I was unworthy to be loved, and I had to work hard to be loved, and it was like those people were better than me, and they were doing me a favor just to be with me, you know. And I had this fear and this sense of control of this needs to work, this needs to work, this needs to be successful, because I need to have a family so that I can be successful. And that control, then, I'm not saying that is the reason why the whole thing collapsed, but I believe that to some degree it also added to the failure. You know, when I also take responsibility of the situation, to say, what is it about me that keeps on getting into relationships and then not seeing the success of those relationships? It should be some shadows that I am carrying, and I need to work on them and find. And I found in Nthabi that, you know, everything that we are looking for on the external and in other people, it's in here. It's already within us. And I needed to go. My biological mother used to call me Bakala. So I needed to find Bakala and just love on Bakala and give Bakala that affirmation that you are worthy and you are beautiful and no one is doing you a favor, but you were created in the likeness of God, and you're not short of anything. You are enough. And I needed to find that contentment. I like the Apostle Paul in the Bible where he says, you know, in all situations be content, whether hungry or full, be content. He says, I have learned that whether hungry or full, to be content. Whether married or single, to be content. Whether I have money in the bank or not, be content. Whether I have a child or not, be content. Whatever situation that you find yourself in, the trick to overcoming is to find contentment and peace even in the midst of that. Lose the picture of what it should be and accept the picture that is. You know, so your level of contentment and your level of acceptance, and realize that whatever situations are in your life, they are there to serve you and to elevate you, to promote you.
Sure. Okay, this is deep. This is so deep. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that you're taking something out of this, because there's just so much power. The biggest work that you need to do is from within, you know, and being content is something that we need to do. We need to work on ourselves. Don't be hard on yourself. Be very kind to yourself, because that's where it all starts. You've been going through things only to find that this is something that you've been carrying all years around, like from your childhood. You know, childhood traumas are real. And if you're not going to deal with that, it might affect you in the long run. So I'm hoping that this is some kind of an awakening, or some kind of, you know, yeah, just that awakening to say, hey, tap into that little child inside of you. Speak to her, you know, tell her how great she is. And allow her to just be okay. And yeah, phew, that's beautiful.
And another thing, Nthabi, you know, just as you're speaking, it's coming to me that, you know, perception, how we perceive ourselves is how the other person will perceive you. So if you look at yourself and you look at that often, you know, that I'm unworthy because I went through this and I went through that and I failed and then that becomes an energy, and that energy creates experiences and situations. But once you change your perception, how you see yourself, then the world around you starts to reciprocate how you see yourself. Because I shared that story of how I failed mathematics in grade 11 just to show you the change in perception, because how I perceived that situation changed, and how I saw myself, you know, I started enjoying it and falling in love, and I started looking at myself and seeing that I am capable and I'm not short of anything. The guy who's getting a distinction and me are no different, you know. He doesn't have tools and equipment that I don't have. So I started seeing my worth, and so basically my perception. So how you perceive yourself is how the world would perceive you. So if you look at yourself in the mirror, you're spending time alone, and you see yourself as you know, this person who is unworthy, if you see yourself as lacking something, or you see yourself as not good enough, that's how other people will see you, because that's the energy that you'll be projecting. Because remember, we are energy. That's a topic for another day, but we are energy. And the energy that you carry around, that it creates situations that you find yourself in. And therefore, I also take accountability of the experiences that I've went through. As much as I blame the other person for what they did to me, but I also look into the situation and I say, how did I find myself in such a mess? What I call a mess. Or what is the situation trying to unfold or promote me to? What is it that I'm missing from this thing? So basically, I'll take you back to that instance where I had failed my grade 11. I use it a lot as an example because I believe what happened there was just a change in perception. So from looking at myself as, you know, I'm not in that level where I would pass mathematics, you know, this mathematics thing is hard and it's for certain people. What happened was a shift in how I looked at myself. All of a sudden, I started realizing that I'm not short of anything. And the person who is getting good results in me, you know, we are the same. So I started putting in effort, and I started believing in myself, you know, and I started enjoying what I do. And I started, even how I looked at maths was different. You know, I stopped looking at it as this difficult thing. So my perception changed of the thing. So the world around you, it reciprocates how you look at yourself. So if you change the perception, your perception of yourself, you will start experiencing situations that are aligning with what you believe in. So if you see worth in yourself, you will start coming across situations that see you or that reflect you as worthy. But if you feel like I'm not good enough, you know, other people are better than me, I should just take the back seat and, you know, humble myself, and that's the energy that you are projecting into the universe, and you will keep reliving the same thing, reliving it. So it's very important to have time to spend some time with yourself.
Yes.
And do an introspection, look deep within, talk to that little child, Bakala, and reaffirm Bakala and say, Bakala, you are loved and you are enough. You know, you are worthy. You are short of nothing that is good. And you know what? You are exposed to great possibility. There is nothing impossible. All the goodness that the world or life has to offer, you are worthy of receiving it. And when you affirm yourself like that, your perception starts to change, and the inner you starts believing, and your energy changes, and that energy goes out to the universe and pulls situations, brings the situations and things that will just, you know, testify of your worthiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like this is Hope's show. Okay, I feel like I shouldn't be
taking
here.
over.
Listen, like it's amazing. And so, real fam, we're about to wrap up this conversation. And as you know, well, if you've been following my work, you know very well that I started this year with this word, gratitude. Right? That is one word that has carried me throughout the entire year, and I feel like we also gonna end this year with gratitude. But not just that, we have the 3 G's, which Suda's gonna just, you know, iron out for us, and I'm hoping that you get wisdom from those 3 G's. Take it away, babe.
The 3 G's, I love them.
Ooh.
The first one is grace.
Yeah.
You know, grace is unmerited favor.
Yeah.
So we have to realize, you have to realize that you have the grace of God in your life. This means that you've got supernatural favor,
yes,
in your life. And this favor is not attached to your works, because sometimes we feel unworthy, or because I've done this, I've done that, you know, I will not receive favor from God. So realize that the grace of God, you don't have to work for it. You automatically, by breathing and being part of creation, you have the grace of God working in your favor. So favor is yours. The second G is gratitude, which is what Nthabi has been talking about since the beginning of the year. Having an attitude of gratitude, meaning to be thankful. Yes. You know, saying thank you instead of always realizing the things that you don't like about your life. How about you single out the things that you really are grateful for, the things that you want to say thank you to God or to the universe or your ancestors, whatever it is that you believe in, but just being grateful. And you know, this Thanksgiving, it ultimately, if you adopt it, it goes into being a lifestyle. Yes. You know, you now go from Thanksgiving to Thanksgiving. So
I love that.
Yes, Thanksgiving. Let's live a life of just gratitude, and let it become your spiritual ritual. To say every day of my life, I at least have to say thank you for something, and you will see the power of this principle. And another thing, you know, what you focus on, multiply. So the principle really is you focus yourself on the things that are going well, and whatever that you focus on, it grows and multiplies. So sooner or later you will see you have more than enough things to be grateful for. True. Yesterday you only had one thing. In 2 months' time you'll have 10 things that you're grateful for. The last G is giving. Generosity. You know, a generous heart is what we should carry around, because giving is actually like planting a seed. So the blessed person is the one that gives more than the one who receives. So give, have a heart that is generous. And you know, when we talk about giving, a lot of us often only think about money. But it's more than just money. You can give of your time, you can give of your energy, you know, you can be a a listening ear to somebody. Somebody needs to be comforted. You can give them a platform, or you can give them comfort. You know, just complimenting someone, you are giving something, because you've just thrown to them a positive energy. I say, oh, Nthabi, today you look beautiful. Or I've given her something, she starts feeling good about herself. And as well, giving material things. I have seen the power of giving in my life. You know, that I made a decision from the beginning of the year that I was going to be a generous person. Yes. Not only giving to my church, but also giving to my friends, to my family, giving them financially, but not only that, but giving my love, giving my support. I'm not perfect, I'm still learning, but you know, I have seen how that works out, that whatever it is that you give, you will never lack that particular thing. So how about we challenge you today? How about we challenge you today to say, what is it that you are lacking in your life and that you desire? Go and give it to someone. Go and give it to someone, and you will see that it will multiply and come back to you. But remember, be careful, detach yourself from the result. So I love what my pastor used to say. He said, after you give at the altar, when you turn around, forget about it. Because we have so much to say. After I've given you something, then I talk a lot about it. Like, what did you do with the 100 rands that I gave you? What is the church doing, you know, with the money that we give them? Or I gave you this, I gave you that. And I love how the Bible, you know, points it out. It says, give with a generous heart. Give with a generous heart. So be generous, or rather give with a cheerful heart. Yes, that's the word. Give with a cheerful heart.
Give with no expectation.
With no expectation. Thank you so much. Give with no expectation and feel good and enjoy the experience without being attached to the result that, yeah, I'm giving so that I can get. Yeah, they said if I give, I will get. No. Enjoy giving, because it is much more of a blessing to give than it is to receive. So remember the 3G: grace, gratitude, and generosity, or giving. Yeah, those are the 3Gs.
Oh my goodness, this was amazing.
I'm glad.
Wow, this was powerful. Thank you so much. This is a masterclass of Miss Open. You know, masterclass for healing, for self-discovery, for just having that self-introspection, a conversation with yourself, finding your best version of yourself. So I'm hoping that you got something out of this.
I definitely got something.
You know, this was very close to our hearts. We've been wanting to do this for a while, but I believe that God had his way of how we can do it. And there's just so much wisdom. I'm filled with so much gratitude, because this is not just, you know, a piece of content like we usually say. No, I'm creating a piece of content to do this, to do that. This is, you know, some kind of a gift. Yeah, I think, we're giving, and we're hoping that you find yourself through this, you find healing. And don't be afraid to even share it with someone that might find it, you know, insightful as well, because that's what we want to do. We want to reach out. This is our calling. This is our purpose. And I thank God for the wisdom that you have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, my friend, for inviting me. I feel so honored to be part of this platform. You're doing amazing things. And you know, it's such an honor for me to be able to give what I have learned and to share my experiences with not only you but the viewers out there. And you know, why don't you be part of our giving and share the video with as many people as you can. This is not about anyone, but just to share. If you know that there's someone who's going through a hard time, or someone that this whole thing could resonate with, how about you share with them this video, and together you and us would be part of, you know, the 3Gs of giving that hope to someone.
Yes. Hope.
What
a beautiful way to end this, with hope. Be hopeful, and remember to make every day count. Remember that everything works together for our good. If there's one thing you didn't take out of this conversation, take that. Everything works together for our good.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
I love you.
I love you too. Be blessed, and yeah, I'm so emotional right now. So let's just leave it here. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Cheers.